Hello lovelies, PsyStarcraft here. My accents are so terrible, I don't even know why I try them. Hello everybody, I am PsyStarcraft from Team Vile, vilegaming.com for the latest news, updates, stuff like that. Hopefully we have got some pretty sweet announcements for you in the future, but we always have news on the front page, so make sure to check that out. It's going to be a Zerg versus Protoss once again. I know I've been a bit short on those lately, so I want to bring you a couple more. And it's going to be vilePsY in the top right as the red Zerg, and LGReSpOnSe in the top left as the blue Protoss, a ex-Vile player actually. He ended up leaving Vile and doing his own thing, but it was on good terms. He's a very solid Protoss player. He's incredibly strategic. He's very strategic. He's very macro-oriented. He likes taking lots of bases and playing defensively. You know, setting up SimCity bases, using force fields effectively, things like that. He's a very non-aggressive Protoss, I guess you would say. He uses good strategy and tactics. But it is Shakira's plateau. He's going to be scouting me first, unfortunately for me. That means I won't really be able to throw it on a fast expansion, which I always love to do. And I see that probe coming in. I'm going to try to surround it if I can. No, not going to surround it. And he actually sees that probe or that drone. So I'm just going to run back onto the mineral patch. Not even going to try to expand. Going to throw it on that spawning pool and just drone up. Now, the bad thing about relying on a 15 hatch every single game is when I don't get my 15 hatch, I'm a bit out of my element. I'm not 100% sure on the build order. Like, when do I get lings? Do I get a gas? Stuff like that. So it's kind of a bummer that I don't know more builds, because that shit like that will happen. Pylon's gonna go down, and that's actually a smart pylon, even though I'm not 15 hatching, simply because when you don't go gas, I threw it on the gas once I saw the pylon. When you just go pool without a gas, you will have enough money to expand before you get your queen. But the pylon does go down, so I'm just going to take my gas, ling up, take down the pylon, take my extra base, and see where I can go from there. Extractor is now finished, and Response going with a Nexus first against a pool first build. And I actually do scout this eventually, and this is actually really vulnerable. I wonder if I could have punished this with some early ling pressure. Maybe just like send in all my drones to block him off and then just send in lings. That would actually be a good idea. Can you imagine? Send in like all but 3 drones and just block everything. And then just keep rallying lings, because he won't have any gateway and I'll have a lot of drones. I mean, I'll have 16 drones who has 18 drones, but I'll also have lings. Dude, I totally want to try that now. The only problem with that would be is he might see it with like a probe or something. He might see me sending all my units and he'll complete his wall off. But here comes the first cannon for him, so that Nexus first looks like it's going to be just fine. I was stalled a bit taking down that pylon, and here comes the link speed. And I got my gas so early that I probably want to pull off these drones once I remember, hopefully, unless I'm going to try something crazy. But these drones are still mining, and there goes my inject. Looks like I have supply cap myself a little bit. That's why you want to get an overlord before that inject lands. And these lings are going to shoot up here and see what they can see. He actually canceled a misplaced cybernetic score. There was a little gap right there, so that's kind of cool for me. It's going to slow him down a little bit. Maybe he wanted to go a Stargate, and that's going to be slower, or something else. But that's pretty cool for me. Looks like the evolution chamber is going up, and I'm actually getting a second geyser, so I am going for shenanigans. And this is what happens when you are out of your element. You try something silly, and I am trying something silly this game, you guys. It's going to be a fast layer with an evolution chamber. I don't want to say what it is yet. I'm going to let you try to guess. 2 gas, fast layer, and an evolution chamber. Now you can assume that's not going to be mutas. Can't go mutas with an evolution chamber, assuming I'm going to get an upgrade on just 1 base. So yeah, try to take a guess. Use your imagination. And we'll see what happens. Ling speed has completed. +1 attack for lings is on the way. And the queen's now being produced, or the second queen rather. So the quick layer, it actually didn't enable me to produce another queen for this hatchery. So my larva count is going to be a bit lower early on in the game than it needs to. That Zealot just got 1 kill. And searching for some pylons, and I actually found one able to take down that silly probe. Now I'm going to cycle around and search for you know, any crazy pylons positioned around the map. Layer is complete, and what are we going to see? We're going to see like hardly any drones. 26 drones to 35 workers. We are going to see eventual sacks. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I am going for drop play. Eventual sacks +1 attack kind of gives it away. I'm going to be going for Ling drops. And you know, this strategy has worked in the past. I remember using it a long time ago on Steps of War. +1 Lings or +2 Lings dropped around like the 9-minute mark or so against the Protoss who fast expands. So good, so good. It doesn't matter if they go Mass Gateway. It doesn't matter if they go like Robo, Stargate. There's just so many Lings. You're able to do a ton of damage. And this kind of micro, so counterproductive. By microing a Zealot back like that, he actually saved all my Lings for me. I didn't even have to do anything. I just right-clicked. And his Zealot died to 4 Lings, and I didn't lose a single Ling. So that was kind of silly. And you know, when you're going crazy build like this, you want to make sure your opponent doesn't scout it. Now he does have an observer on the way, but I'm going to take the towers and try to deny a probe scout anyway. And also, since I'm going to be producing a lot of Lings, as you can see here, you want to hide your units. So I'm going to try to hide my units. I'm going to put them in a pretty close drop location. The closest drop location would be, of course, like right here, but I'd have to bust down the rocks first, or right here. But I feel like putting my Lings right here would be too close. And actually, here comes the observer. So he is going to scout this drop play. Yes, indeed. And there are two things that kind of gives this away. One, there's a fuck ton of Lings, and two, he sees that I have Overlord speed. Who on earth would get Overlord speed this early? Unless they're going to do something with it. So he sees those Lings, he realizes, oh my god, he's rallying all of his Overlords as well. He's going to be dropping me. I've got that +1 attack. I've got 2 hatcheries, need to keep the injects up, and we'll see what the drop does. Now, unfortunately, not as many Lings as I'd like to have. 45 Lings, but only 2 sentries and 1 stalker, and this is why the drop play can be so damn effective. 1 photon cannon, 2, 3 photon cannons being dropped. vilePsY is on the way. I'm going to be able to drop the Lings off before this Overlord dies. Dies with 4 Lings inside of it. And it looks like Response is just going to get overwhelmed like crazy. But he's pulling off the probes. And the cannon has completed. And he's just kind of cluster effing me up with all of these Zealots. The probes now on attack command. Not 2 Zerglings inside of the Overlord need to be dropped. And how much damage have I done? 33 to 50 still, and he actually cleaned it up because of these nice responses, LOL response, because of the cannon responses. And this is where I'm like, oh my god, this drop can do damage, but he's got a vilePsY. I need to kill his robotics facility, so I'm going for the facility, but the Zealot's chopping up my Zerglings with that +1 attack. I could be getting my +1 armor right now with just 2 more gas, but I'm not. More sentries, more Zealots warping in, as well as Zerglings dropping, but these cannons are just destroying my Zerglings, and I really need to take out this robotics facility. Is it going to go down? Yes! No Colossus will be produced for you, you little bugger. So down goes that robotics facility. Nice pickup right there. But response, man, these Zealots, 10 kills, 2 kills, 9 kills. That guy's just a loser discipline. But he's got that +1 attack that's so potent against Zerglings because it allows him to 2-shot the Zerglings instead of 3-shot the Zerglings. And my drop is losing steam. This observer is seeing that I'm just continuing to drop. Is this going to be enough Zerglings? They're out of range of the cannon, so I've got pretty good positioning in that regard. All of the Stalkers and Sentries going down. Only a couple Zealots remaining, but 3 more on the way. Still continuing to 2-shot those Zerglings. I really need to be getting the armor. And this is kind of where I had a lack of foresight. I didn't realize, okay, I'm on only minerals with 32 workers. Why do I not have a macro hatch yet? The macro hatch is so damn late. I should have had that a long time ago. And I actually credit the lack of a macro hatch with having not won the game yet, because if I had, I mean, just think a macro hatch, let's just say I had 20 more Lings at any point in the game, it would have been so damn good. Looks like I'm going to be dropping in about 11 more Lings, but that's such a small number. I'm continuing to rally, trying to hit my injects, but again, these Zealots so damn strong. The Zealots are too damn high. And the vilePsY is on the way once more, as well as a Colossus. So it's not looking too good. It's looking pretty bleak, actually. I'm trying to take my third base with all that extra money that I had. Just now starting that +1 armor. So again, when you're trying a new build, you're not going to have it finely tuned. You're not going to really know what you need when. And I'd say if I needed something to help make this drop work a little better, it'd be that macro hatch so much sooner. I was always floating 100 minerals like the whole time. And also, maybe the +1 armor for the Lings or the +2 attack for the Lings, because these Zealots are really shining, man. That's all he's making at this point, and that's all he really needs to make. I can't outrun the Zealots forever, especially with all these cannons on the map. And he's just doing a great job of responding to this. And that's what I mean. Response is a very smart player. He knows what he's doing. And that Observer was just perfect timing. He floated right over my lings, and that was a little bit unlucky. It allowed him to throw down those cannons, but I'm not going to blame, you know, a somewhat lucky observer scout with losing all those lings and stuff like that. So I'm going to try to recover in this game. I mean, I did a little bit of damage. I killed a lot of his gateway forces, maybe a couple probes, delayed his robotics bay. But it's definitely not looking good. I'm behind in the harvest count, 40 to 51. I'm going to try to take my third base. And my plan at this point is get a Spire, get some Corruptors, take down the Colossi, and hopefully just get enough Lings to overwhelm the Zealots, to overwhelm whatever I need to overwhelm. Response now busting down his Cybernetics core. Of course, he is going to be replacing that up here. And the reason he busts that down and not like the Gateway, one, because the Gateway is not the building in the way, and two, Gateways take a lot longer to train, and he's not making any Stalker Sentry at the moment anyway, so he's not going to really need that Cybernetics core for a while. And again, Response, instead of just moving out carelessly, he's going to be taking his third base, playing it more cautiously, more macro-oriented. Looks like he might snipe an Overlord. No, not quite. He probably thinks these Overlords are loaded, but they are indeed not. Indeed not. It's not like an oxymoron or something like that. But 8 Corruptors on the way. Now 51 to 51 Harvesters. At this point, I wasn't really sure what the Harvester count was, what the state of the game was. And it looks like I'm actually not doing too bad when you think about it. 62 Lings against just some Gateway units and 2 Colossi, as well as 8 Corruptors on the way. So, yeah, not too bad. I'm still in this game. I still have a chance to win it. My Lings are now +1/+1. His Zealots only have 1 attack still, so they're only going to be 3-shotting the Zerglings now. But of course, he's got that +2 attack on the way, which I would need armor to negate, but that's not really going to happen. So a lot of Lings and a lot of Corruptors out here. I feel like I need to get something done fast, despite my third base being ready, just because I feel like I'm so far behind. This Observer is going to be scouting everything, of course. And 2 Warp Prisms with that Warp Prism speed, 1 in my main and 1 in the expansion. The third expansion, he's going to go straight for that hatchery. He doesn't want to be wasting time on drones and Zealots like chasing them around or anything like that, and it's actually gonna work. And instead of trying to save this hatchery, I realize it's probably too late to save it, even if the Lings beelined it straight to it. I'm gonna go for an attack, and then I realize there's no bridge right here, so I have to go down. And he's actually walled off right there, so I have to go around. Yeah, this is just not looking good. Once more, Response with a beautiful reaction. Sees that I'm gonna attack into a narrow choke, makes 4 sentries. The Colossus does go down almost immediately. Lings now swarming in. Nice force fields cutting off almost all the Lings, and these guys are just getting bottlenecked everywhere. They don't know what to attack. They're getting sniped at the force field. It's terrible, terrible management by myself. But this is at this point, I was like, wow, look at the anti-air Response has. If these were mutas instead of Corruptors, oh my god, I could have killed everything. I could have killed every sentry easily. And the Stalkers just could not do damage fast enough. That would have prevented all the force fields. Might have even completely taken out all of his anti-air army. But for right now, it's just not looking too good. Another great force field from Response, not letting any of my Zerglings escape. I am able to clean up these Zealots down here before he's able to get that +2 attack. But it's just not looking too good. 30 more Zerglings on the way. And man, these Corruptors, they were so useless. I could have killed that Colossus with Corruptors or mutas. But I got Corruptors, and now they're just kind of rotting. Sentry's so vulnerable to mutas. I could have taken those down so easily. And then I say nerf force field and leave the game. But really, it wasn't force field that made a difference. I just wanted to say that to make me feel better. This expansion was, of course, killed. He actually warped in DTs in my main, if you couldn't tell on the minimap. Destroyed my main. And that's why I GG'd when I still had a little bit of units. But man, if these were mutas, first of all, snipe all those sentries, eliminate all the force fields. Wow, I could just ran straight into the main. That would have been another great maneuver. And third, this macro hatch. Way sooner. You have to, if you're going to do this drop play, do it off 3 hatch. Don't do it off 2 hatch. And I think a lot of those things could have just easily pushed the game into my my victory. Also, that Observer Scout was a bit unlucky for me, but I'm not going to make excuses all day. Except I'm going to, LOL! But I hope you guys enjoyed this. This Psy lost to LGReSpOnSe. And thanks for watching. I don't know where my GG button is, so you get to hear me bang on my belly. Yeah, that was kind of gay.